Welcome to Ponytails and Pep Talks, the podcast where blowouts, breakdowns, and breakthroughs are a weekly discussion. I'm your host, ReJeania. For over 3 decades, I've been behind the salon chair as a stylist, an owner, and yes, your favorite unlicensed therapist. I have heard it all. The tears, the triumphs, the you won't believe what just happened stories from courageous women overcoming incredible obstacles. So let's meet one of them right now on Ponytails and Pep Talks. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited you have joined me for my podcast, Ponytails and Pep Talks. Put your hair up in a pony, grab your journal, and a hot cup of coffee. It only gets better from here. You're going to love my first guest, Darla Stone. I've known her for a few years now, and I'm always blown away by her strength, her wisdom, and her capacity for loving others. She is a faithful woman of God, a wife, a mom, and a grandma. And her journey extends far more than even all these special things about her. She is also the mom to 2 incredible special needs children. Darla and John have had a full life already. Their road has seen its shares of bumps and also incredible love and laughter. So let's dive into her story. Darla, thank you so much for coming on Ponytails and Pep Talks and letting us see into your world and your story.
Thank you.
So you and John have been married for over 50 years now, right?
53 years.
That is incredible already.
Yeah.
That right there is just incredible if we said nothing else.
Yeah.
So you began your family just like so many other people. You started having children, and somewhere along the way, you decided to add more. Where did the decision to adopt and then the decision to adopt special needs children come up?
I have to go back a little further than that.
Okay.
When I was a teen, I read a book about a family who adopted 12 children or something like that. I don't recall the name of the book. I was a teen, but I just kept that in my thoughts and most naively glamorized it. That
Sure.
would be a great idea, adopt some children. Well, so years later, when I was married with 2 toddlers, 2 precious little girls, I found out I could not birth anymore. And my thoughts returned to that idea from years before. However, any agencies that we contacted immediately said no to our request because we had 2 children.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. We were advised by these agencies that we should consider pursuing special needs adoption. And once again, I would say I was very naive. God is on our side. I can nurture a child and make an impact. How difficult could it be? Also will admit that I was more ready to adopt than my husband was.
Getting dad on board might be a little bit different. His thoughts on it would be more, wait a minute, what is this going to be like financially on our other children? Can I do this? So I'm sure he had plenty of thoughts himself.
He did. One day when we were talking about adoption, he actually said to me, well, it never came to my mind to have any more children. He also went on to say that when we were married, he didn't think about having any children until I longed to have them. So he said he understood the longing that I had, and he agreed that we should adopt. So that's how we began all of it and where his thoughts were at the beginning of it.
So did you tell him, but you don't understand, I read this book. But I read this book, and it was amazing. And it all worked out wonderfully.
Well, I have to tell you, we adopted our first child when he was 19 months old. He came to us very angry. He came to us non-compliant, and life became very difficult. The toddler years were difficult. I actually, after a year, tried to get in contact with the agency, and this was in a large city, Houston, Texas, and they had closed their doors. So there was a message on the machine that said I could try to reach them in another city where they still were open. When I called that place saying, I'm really struggling with what's going on with our son, and their answer was, oh, you probably haven't bonded. So that was as much help. I have to say, that has really changed over the years. For younger people now looking to adopt, there are a lot more resources than there were back when we adopted those years ago. So anyway, we dealt with toddlerhood. I was in way over my head. I could say I was drowning, just not understanding what to do.
With no help out there and no
Yes,
other guidance, did you know
yes.
any other parents with special needs
Not at that
children to
time.
reach out
Not at
to?
that time. Mm-mm.
Okay.
So when he was 5 years old and we were asked to leave the school where he had been at a
Mm,
preschool, we had delayed him some and he was a little older going in. They suggested maybe you should try to get diagnosis for him. So we went and started to get diagnosis. And the first testing that came out was that he had a low IQ.
mm,
Years later, we received what is now called a dual diagnosis, a second one, and that
okay.
would be that he has mental illness.
So the agency themselves then just knew that he was special needs, but they had not done any testing. They had no idea to even tell you what their thoughts were, what anything?
I can tell you what they said to us. Of course,
Okay.
he was just 19 months old, and a lot of times there, or at least back in that time, we're talking 45 years ago, they were not testing at a very young age. And like I said, we got him, he was 19 months old. So things started to happen. And all I knew was that he was angry all the time, argumentative, and all the way through toddlerhood. So, like I said, when he was 5, we got that first diagnosis, and he did start into schools where they offered help for children with a low IQ diagnosis. It is actually now called IDD. At that time, it was called mental retardation. And IDD stands for intellectually developmentally delayed. That also gives the impression delay. Can that mean can I catch up? No, you cannot catch up. Your IQs are fixed. All of our IQs are fixed. We can't make them higher or lower. So life went on, and I can tell you, I cried a lot. I prayed a lot. I made a lot of mistakes. I lost my temper. Then I prayed, and then I cried. I have to tell you that one of the many prayers that I prayed, I would say, God, could we please release him from his anger? I even started bargaining with God over the years,
Oh,
saying,
yeah.
oh, IQ is okay. Please, no anger. Stop the anger.
Sure. Yes.
Yes. But I have to
Yes.
tell you, years later, God answered my prayer. We could say that God has a sense of humor. It
Please.
came with a little girl who was 4 months old, and her diagnosis is simply a low IQ. So God gave me a
Yeah.
child with low IQ, no anger.
So, how did you decide after going through such a rough time the first time around? What in your mind said, hey, let's just do this again?
I have to say, I'm very idealistic. I really thought uh, things would get better. We took our son to
Hmm.
so many specialists trying to see could we do something more to improve and all, removing all the dyes. Even back then, we removed all the
Yes.
dyes. We did all the better eating, trying so many things. And then he hadn't reached puberty when we were to adopt our second child, when we went about
Yes.
doing that. After puberty, then testosterone kicks in with all young men. And then it was very more aggravating, the anger and the noncompliance. That is why, we got Rebecca right before he hit that age. So it wasn't as bad. And I kept thinking it was going to get better. I think that's why we went ahead with adopting our second one.
What is his name?
His name is Carl.
Carl. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the two girls, how old are they, during this? And what is their perception of what's going on here? And where did this child come from? And
Yeah.
how did they deal with his anger? And did he take anger out on them?
He did. And that is a difficult memory for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
The difficulty over their relationships. I have to say that when they were young, it was just a part of this is who we are. And
Mm-hmm.
they're very young children are very accepting. So our oldest, when we were able to adopt Carl, she was 5, just turning 6. And then our second daughter was 4. So
Okay.
they were just accepting of it. We just did fine then. I think as he grew older, like I said, more when he was
Then.
a teen, that it became more difficult.
So how did Carl feel once Rebecca came along?
When she was a newborn and not moving much, because she was 4 months old, she was fine. And when she was a little larger, a little older, a toddler, he would say, again, remember, he has a lot of cute. He said, I wish she didn't come. Why do we have
Aw.
her? I wish she wasn't this big, So, yeah, that was tough.
Of
There,
course.
of all the siblings, that those two are close now at their ages.
What about jobs? When do jobs come in there as an adult? And how did that work out for Carl?
Well, let me just say this. When Carl was 9 years old,
Hmm.
he had been working with a psychologist, and the psychologist came to us and said, he will always be able to get a job. He will just not ever be able to keep a job because he still is, always will be, non-compliant,
Yes.
argumentative. Those things are there. So it really isn't a stressful thing. He'll just
Hmm.
not like what's being said or being told to him.
Hmm.
We've had him have one day at a grocery store, and when he decided he wanted his break, and they said, well, it isn't time, he just walked right out of the store. So he does things like that. Like, that's exactly what
Sure.
happens. He's his own worst enemy. And
Yes.
then again, with the law acute, it's hard to explain to him. So the job idea for him or job coaching just doesn't really work very well.
Yes.
He has tried uh, where he's located now. He has probably been in every fast food job that is
Hmm.
in that town. And
I
I am
get
sure
it. I
by
get
now
it.
they've got a little network saying, beware, beware.
Right. Like, let him be there as long as you can.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
So now Becca comes along
Uh-huh.
and she just is low IQ
Uh-huh.
and she's a different child to raise. How is she? Present?
Yes,
Lovely?
yes. Rebecca can be de- described as fast. She is fast. She runs fast, walks fast, talks fast. Went to
Mhm.
a speech therapist for many years, trying to slow down her speech so people could understand her. She now is in Special Olympics, and she gets in the pool and is in the swim team, and we can say to
Mhm.
her, go fast. You can go fast.
Yes.
It's okay to go fast because
She's like, I
we've
like
spent years telling her to slow down. And so
this.
that's a place. And speaking of Special Olympics, I must tell you
Yes.
that I would say would be what every special needs parent should look into, because you had asked earlier friendships and did we have people that we met. That is where
Yes.
your connections begin at a Special
Mm.
Olympics team, where you're going to find your people. Your children are going to find their people. I've always
Oh,
said
yeah.
my two special needs children were square pegs in a round world. And
Um,
so when you go to Special Olympics, they're all round pegs, or whatever. I can't remember which way I
yes.
said it, but they're all the same
Yes.
shape of peg, to where even though there are many, I mean, you can go special needs, and I always say, look at an umbrella, and there's a plethora of diagnoses out there, and so many different things that children have, from autism to low IQ, and then physical disabilities as well. However, when you find Special Olympics, you find other parents who understands, who
Yes.
under they understand that you're different and they are different, and yet you're all the same, and you can just sympathize with each other, empathize with each other, and really be there to care for one another should things need that extra help at some point. You can, with someone, you find some with nearly the same diagnosis, sometimes we can help watch a child or be with that child. When you are a parent of a special needs, there are many tendrils of experiences that you have to deal with. And I always put it like that there's the child, and that is the difficult part. However, you have the doctor, you have the diagnoses, you have to deal with the doctor, you have to deal with people, strangers, who don't know what to do, what to say. The other stressors are schools. You have to deal with being the advocate, complete advocate all the time. And now I'm finally going to get to, I think you had asked me earlier, what about now as they're aging?
Yes.
Yes, we don't think of, we're so busy for so many decades with all those tendrils and working with them that we don't often think, oh my goodness, I'm going to age to the point where I can no longer parent this child. They're going to age. What will happen to them? And
Right. Yes.
one of the things you have to do as a couple is when you retire, you have to know I have to retire for 3 people. Now, and I say 3 because our son is in a program that is a slot, that's a government-funded program, and it's a lifelong slot. He is set, but our daughter
Good.
isn't in any programs. We have to retire for 3 of us, knowing that we'll have to finance her future and finance
Yes.
our future. So that's another tendril that you have to deal with, but a lot of times don't think about until you're
Yeah, that's
right.
what I was wondering. Did you even did that even cross your mind whenever you were first adopting these
No,
children?
no, not at all.
Right.
Not
And
at all.
without help or guidance or anything else along the way, there wasn't anyone to tell you
Exactly.
that this would be a situation that would come up at some point.
Yes.
I've, met Rebecca, of course, and love her dearly. And absolutely, when you meet her, she is not someone right away you would even think would have any special needs issues or anything because she so physically looks just fine. She's very pleasant. She speaks well. She talks
Mhm.
well. Within a few minutes, you kind of start, noticing, things. How has it been when you are around people? If you don't tell them yet anything about her, how do they perceive her? When does it kind of dawn on them that maybe she's not, answering things the way she should, or when
Yeah.
they realize about her?
Yes. I've actually said something to someone when she was a lot younger, and they said, "No, she isn't. She's just fine." I said, "Why don't
Ah,
we go with that? Let's go with that. I
yes,
like your diagnosis that she's just fine." But
yes.
I do have to say that it is true. People can know that there's something that's a little different. I can remember back years ago, when you could still say the words mental retardation.
Hmm.
I was at a dentist office with her, and the dental tech came to me after, and when I was, signing out at the end, and she said, "Now, there's something different about Rebecca." And I said, "Oh, she has MR." And she goes, "What's MR?" And I said, "Mental retardation." And she said, like, "How dare you say those 2 words?" And I'm thinking, well,
Oh,
I live those 2 words, so they don't make me upset. They're making you
right.
upset because because there's a stigma
Yes,
to those 2 words. And that's how it
right.
came out to be IDD. But um,
Yes,
a lot of times, and I can tell you that Rebecca's intellectual level really is around age 8. She can read up at an 8-year-old level. She can be sparkly and happy like an 8-year-old child who's
yes,
very, very happy. But again, I always tell people she'll always be 8. So she still loves the things that 8-year-olds love.
yes. And her
She,
horses. She
yeah, she loves
loves her horses.
horses. She loves horses. She really has been able to have a little part-time work. It was with a craft store in Bernie, and
Yes.
unfortunately they closed. She was getting about 5 or 6 hours a month. And for her, that was wonderful because she could
Yes.
feel like she had a job. And so she does volunteer work, and she does that probably about 15 hours a week in
Yes.
2 different locations where
Hmm.
she volunteers. And so she really is enjoying that. She loves the horses. She loves her Special Olympics. And we have found friends throughout all of those organizations. Again, we had been in a Special Olympics in a large city. We had lived in
Hmm.
Houston. And it was just simply, you know, a group that met. Maybe once in a while we would celebrate at the end of the year and eat together. But we came to Boerne, Texas, and it is like a family. They have been together for decades. The woman who started the Special Olympics through the school system in Boerne
Hmm.
is still the head of it. All the people who are in it were all friends when their children started, and they started age 8. And so through that, it's a community, as I said. So there's support in the community that we get, resources. We have 2 different churches, one church that does a monthly bingo night. So all those kids from
Oh,
Special Olympics run into each other at bingo night. I have to say there's a 3rd church. I have to tell you that one. Uh, so the second church has a Bible study 2 times a month. So they all the same group of young adults run into each other there. So they're all friends. And then the 3rd
right.
church
That's good.
once a year has a big dance. It's a wonderful,
Oh, yes.
it's called
Yes.
the
The big
Starlight
dance.
Starlight Ball. And they all
Yes.
get dressed up and they're greeted at the church door in a limousine where they can step out and walk a red carpet and just feel very, very special. And that happens once a year. So because it is a smaller town, there are so many sweet local resources.
That's good. But Special Olympics is worldwide, is it?
Oh, yes,
Or
yes,
just through
yes,
the United States? It's
yes,
really large. And there's plenty of opportunities for people. I know when I was younger, I used to volunteer with Special Olympics and help them during the days they were doing their races and, just helping on their event days.
yes.
And so, how are other ways that the churches are helping, and then people can volunteer during
Oh,
the other things?
definitely.
How are other ways that people that didn't have, it doesn't matter that you don't have a special needs children, anyone can volunteer to help.
Right. Well, at the horse ranch that Rebecca volunteers, they're allowing her to volunteer. She's a rider there. So it's called
Okay.
equitherapy, meaning that it's horse therapy. And
Yes.
so riders are there. And yes, anyone who loves horses can volunteer at the horse ranch. And
Right.
I think there are about 3 in the Boerne area that are equitherapy horse
Hmm.
ranches where anyone could go and say, I love horses, put me to work, and I'll work with whatever you need.
Right.
Another place, again, anyone can volunteer just as you did at any
Right.
Special Olympic event. They're just, fill out forms, they do the background check, they do all that.
Do the background checks.
And
Yes.
yes, as they do at the horse ranch too. But they can use people for so many things.
Perfect.
And,
Yes.
we're constantly, we go to the state Special Olympics and constantly seeing many people who are volunteering, even just to hold a flag and say, go this way, and helping
Right.
people, guide people along just as they're walking. Uh, so there are a lot of ways that people can help. I think we have found throughout all these years, and I call it, while we've been in special world, we have
Hmm.
found people who have a heart for them. And then we have found
Right.
many, many people who really do what you see in a movie where they just don't want to look at them, they don't want to talk to them, they don't want to give any time to them. But all those ones who have a heart for them,
Right.
we're
Mhm.
so, so grateful for them. so
I'm
many who
sure.
have a heart for them in any of the areas that we just talked about, from the people at the churches that go to the big dances like that Starlight Ball. They always need, and then there's Tim Tebow, who does his Night to Shine, and they just need people to come and be buddies.
They do. I helped
Mhm.
with a Tim Tebow event, also doing
Mhm.
hair, doing makeup, being the buddy on the dance floor. It is an incredible event that
Mhm.
I would definitely help again with.
Yes.
And some of the people that were helping were just, some teenage girls even
Yep.
that
Oh,
came in
yes.
to do their makeup. It doesn't have to be someone that specializes in their field, just someone to be there that cares, that, wants to help out. So that's an incredible event.
Right. Let's see. I think it's been almost a year and a half. They had a going away party for one of the helpers, one of the volunteers. She was headed off to college. She had been helping Special Olympics since she was 12 years old. She had a
Oh,
heart. She had that heart. She said to her
yes.
parents, I want to go and do something. So, basically, she started out just whatever they needed. And then at some point,
Sure.
because she's such an athlete, she would join them and teaching them, being a coach to them in whatever sport. She was bicycling, she was running, she was
Oh, wow.
swimming. And so it started at age 12 as she was volunteering. So, yes, every one of these places will take young people who have a
Very
heart,
well.
because usually if they have that heart, they're going to have that heart for life, for special needs.
Absolutely, especially having it that young.
Mhm.
So, Darla, if you had just a couple of sentences of advice for parents that are considering, or maybe they're not considering, and you would like to tell them, consider it,
Mm.
if you can, what they may be facing if they adopt special needs children.
That's a tough question, because it is really, I would say, maybe count the cost.
Okay.
As I've said, I was very idealistic. I was very naive, thinking, yes, I can take on the world. In fact, I was silly in my mind, saying, I'll write a book about it one day. And so,
Yes.
yeah,
And you
there's no
might
book coming.
still.
No,
You
no,
might
there's no.
still.
But I think count the cost.
Okay.
It
And are
is.
there groups now that they could go and sit in and listen in before they made this decision?
One one thing, or one, it's not a group that I would say, but I will mention to you that fostering a child who is special would really give a person uh, a peek into that window to
Okay.
say, is this something I really think I can do? I have to tell you, we haven't mentioned this, but we did not have them all at once, but we did have 9 foster children. And we
Oh,
did the, yes,
wow.
yes,
I did not know that.
yes, we did that back even when our girls were toddlers. We started with little newborns and babies, and they were not special needs. Um, but when the years had passed after we had adopted Carl and we were ready to try for Rebecca, the social service person said, why don't you do some more fostering so that you could realize what it's like to have these children and a foster
Mm,
child? So we did that again, and that's how. So the first one, I think there were 5, and then the other, when we're waiting for Rebecca, were 4 different ones that came and went. We
okay.
did have one brother and sister, but again, I was a different person back then. I was so ready. I can take on the world. And
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Darla, I want to thank you so much for talking with me. I'm so grateful for you and your entire family that I absolutely love. I would be excited to have you back on again, talk about these other things, a few subjects that we didn't talk about today that we want to get to that will have its own show, like you said. So I
okay.
appreciate appreciate you being on here, and I look forward to speaking to you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, thank you, listeners. Please like and subscribe, of course, so that I can continue to share the journeys of incredible women overcoming incredible obstacles. If they can do it, so can you. I'd love for you to go on Amazon and purchase my Ponytails and Pep Talks journal, where I wrote 52 salon wit and heartfelt quotes to get you through the year. Until next week, consider this your deep conditioner for the soul. You are braver, stronger, and more beautiful than you know. You've got this.